Welcome once again, everybody. It's fun. It's you. It's us. It's From the Hill podcast. This is Wild Wayne Cartwright. With me, we got Mr. C.K. Williams and Mr. T. Gooden.
What up, gentlemen?
What's up, fellas?
How y'all doing, man?
We are well, guys. We are well. So, everybody, as we always say, we thank everybody for tuning in with us on this Tuesday. This is our penultimate show of the year. We will have our final show of 2022 will be next week. So as we always like to say, we have the scroll on the bottom of the screen, which has all of our follows. So you see our YouTube channel. Please make sure that you subscribe to that channel and also follow us on Facebook and Instagram and on Twitter. And also during this show, please make sure that you hit that like button early and often. So we've got a nice little show for you this evening. So let's get into the proceedings, gentlemen. First off, we'd like to start with something that we wanted to just recognize. Mike Leach passed away this morning at the age of 61. Mike Leach formerly was the coach of Texas Tech. Also, he was at Washington State, and he was also recently at Mississippi State. Mike Leach, he was an innovator of the air raid offense, which had lots of passing, set a lot of passing records, coached a lot of pros. Mike Leach was an engaging character. Very hilarious guy. Funny that he was a lover of pirates. And so Mississippi State is scheduled to play in a bowl game in Tampa on New Year's morning against Illinois. And the team said that we will play the game and we'll honor Mike Leach, which ironically is being played in a stadium that has a pirate ship. So Mike is survived by his wife and 3 children. So rest in peace, Mike Leach. Salute. And moving here into our men's basketball recap. Last night, our Bulldogs, they faced off with the South Alabama Jaguars. This game, they fell behind 31-6 in the first half, and they battled back to cut it down to 2. With 10 minutes remaining before ultimately falling by the score of 78-71. Very encouraging effort by our gentlemen last night. They played shorthanded without Garrett Hicks, but falling short against a Sun Belt team is never a bad thing. So very encouraged. And then as you can see here, we've got the remainder of the schedule for the month of December for our men. As you can see, on Thursday night, they will be hosting Russ College. Game time is at 7 p.m. at the event center. If you're not able to attend, you will be able to catch the broadcast on the YouTube live stream with Chauncey Sanders and Coach Van Pettaway. And then after the Russ College game, they hit the road. They go to visit the Illinois Fighting Illini in Champaign, and then they go and they visit Vanderbilt. And as many people know, Vanderbilt was upset last week by Grambling. So we've got a lot of optimism in that game. And then on the 29th, they come here to my hometown here in Columbus, Ohio, to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. So this is the December schedule. And after this schedule, after December, then the rest of it will be SWAC games the rest of the way.
Yep.
So be apprised of this December schedule. And our Lady Bulldogs. Unfortunately, they fell to 0-7, but they did have a very good showing in Cookeville, Tennessee against Tennessee Tech on Saturday. So they fell by 10 points. And this Sunday, they hit the road to face the South Carolina Lady Bulldogs. So, bold prediction, gentlemen, the Bulldogs will win this game.
Bulldogs winning this game. First
Bulldogs
victory.
will win this game.
Hey, yeah.
South Carolina State.
Bulldogs gonna win.
So South Carolina State actually just picked up their first win of the season in their last game out against UNC Greensboro. So South Carolina State is 1-10 on the season. So so just be apprised of our Lady Bulldogs and cheer them on when they do play in Huntsville, because they need our support, and we will truly be supporting them. And many of you probably saw today very wonderful, wonderful news for one of the greatest football players in the history of Alabama A&M. Mr. Aqeel Glass was signed today to a free agent contract by the New Orleans Breakers of the USFL. So Aqeel will be appearing in their training camp, and their season is going to get started over the summer, I believe, gentlemen. It is. I think they're going to be playing in Memphis this time.
Correct.
So just if you just see Aqeel's, if any of you follow him on social media or on Twitter, please make sure that you hit his page and send your congratulations. So, gentlemen, a couple minutes before we move on to the next segment, if you guys got any words about Aqeel Glass or basketball or anything that we've talked about here briefly.
Yeah, first I'm going to start with the basketball game, man. It was rough to begin that game. Like Wayne said, we were down big. But you saw the resiliency. And one of the things, I've been to most of those basketball games, and coach started with a lineup that we haven't seen. I think Corey can agree to that. It's that time of the year where you got to see who can play with who. So, not making any excuses, but you can tell they were playing through a lot of stuff. It's one thing to practice with one another, but it's different when you get in the game. So they finally got together going into halftime. And, we brought it, like Wayne said, we brought in 2 points. Congrats to Aqeel, man. It's been a long road for him. I saw him light things up at Alabama A&M. He was fun to watch. I'm glad he got his opportunity. Of course, most of us wanted him to get picked up in the NFL draft. I think he would definitely help out Tom Brady right now. But some people's road is a little different. So, we saw this year, like, there's a lot of NFL players that played on the USFL last year that are very productive in the NFL now. So I'm just happy for him. Good luck to Aqeel, man. I'll definitely be keeping up.
Yes, indeed. And Jay the Great has joined us. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, prayers to Mike Leach and his family, and to the Mississippi Bulldogs Nation down that way in Starkville, and also I were at the basketball game last night, and yeah, the men started off very slow, and you can tell they're tinkling with the lineup, as T. Gooden stated. But one thing that shows a good team and a good coaching culture is one that never quits and continues to fight, and that's what they did. They got scrappy on the defensive end, getting better on their rotations. You can tell they're working on it. You definitely can tell they're working on it. So they're getting better on their rotations, trying to crank up that defense and trying to see what works. And you can tell a good coach because they're preparing to peak, trying at the right time. He's trying to see what they got and hoping that they can peak and be competitive and to try to do everything they can to bring a SWAC championship back to normal in basketball. Now, this is year one. We're not expecting a championship, but hey, if we get one, hey, we'll take it.
Happy.
Absolutely.
But you can tell that's what they're trying to tinker to. And I'm so happy for Aqeel Glass, man. You don't know. One of the, I'm a New Orleans Breakers fan now. I'm going to get his jersey. So I'm looking forward to him. And, those who passed on him, he's going to make you pay. He's an NFL quarterback. And he gets to the right team that can protect. He's going to, he's definitely an NFL quarterback.
Yes, he is. Jay the Great, quickly, a few comments.
Well, again, rest in peace to Coach Leach. I remember watching that Egg Bowl and never knowing that would have been the last time I seen him on the sideline. So my thoughts and condolences are to his family as well as the Mississippi State family. As far as Aqeel Glass, I'm so excited for him. I'm a huge USFL fan. Now I am a Birmingham Stallions fan. So I'm gonna have to work around this. So it's like I'm a Stallions plus an Aqeel Glass fan. So I have to figure that out. But yeah, I'm so excited for him. I do go to USFL games, and so when they do play, I'm going to have my A&M flag just to let them know that Bulldogs are rooting for him.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. So that is the opening montage. And now we are setting the stage for our wonderful guest stars that are joining us this evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn the show on over to Mr. T. Gooden as we welcome in our guests.
How y'all
All
doing?
right.
You on mute?
What's up? What's
How
up?
you doing, man? How you doing? How you doing, Coach? How you doing, Alicia?
Glad to see you again. Come on, y'all. I
haven't
seen
you
I
in
don't know
when.
What up, Bulldogs? Listen,
What up?
What up?
family. The family reunion is here. We out here. See, good.
Definitely.
My classmate.
What's up,
Come
Lisa?
on, sir.
I know you doing your thing, man. We're gonna talk about that. So first thing we're gonna start. It doesn't matter who go first. Just tell us about when you guys graduated Alabama A&M and your journey after A&M to where you are now. Let's start there.
I'll jump in and go first. Aninye, it's good to see you. I've been trying to track him down all year. Listen, me and him got a whole text thread. I can't keep up with him. He's big time.
You know
I am part of the class of 2008. Shout out if y'all can believe it. Yo, next year, it'll be 15 years since we walked across the stage. 2023 is 15 years. I can't even believe it because we was doing some things those 4 years we was on the hill. So I graduated in 2008, got my marketing degree. I've always loved sports. Most of y'all remember me. I was with the volleyball team during my time at Alabama A&M. Two-time swag. Hello, back, two back. Swag champ. You know, we ran that thing when I was on the yard. It was good. And I just decided to continue my career working athletics. So the past, since I've been gone, I started in minor league sports, but then now I'm in college athletics for the last 13 years. I've been at some prominent schools, Oregon State, was at LSU, University of Tennessee, Abilene Christian. I'm currently at Kennesaw State. So I'm assistant AD at Kennesaw State, been here for 3 years, Division I program here in Georgia, right outside of Atlanta. It's been a fun time, learning experience to be here, give back. Again, sports is still in my blood, still being a part of it. So I'm happy to be here.
Nice. What you got for us, Chris?
Got to take himself off mute.
He doing double duty. Look at him. He probably trying to get somebody in the weight room right now, Coach.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. We got you.
All right. I thought I was delayed. But how y'all doing? Appreciate y'all having me on. Alicia, it's great to see you. It's been a minute. Like you said, we got that text thread going. So you know how it is. I'm actually in transition now. So I'll probably be coaching somewhere else in January. That's just the way the business goes. But little backstory on me. Of course, graduate of Alabama A&M University, undergrad and grad. I actually got my start at A&M. Came to A&M, tried to play football. That didn't work out. And then gravitated towards the weight room. And Coach Andrew Lee took me up under his wing. And basically, Coach Lee gave me keys to the weight room my sophomore year. I don't know if he was supposed to do that, but he did it. And pretty much kind of lit a fire in me. From that point, I started out as a high school football coach. I wanted to be a high school football coach, help kids get scholarships. I had this whole dream of, helping athletes get to college, or basically doing what my high school coaches didn't do for me and the guys from the area I was from. So I had that vision. I coached high school ball while simultaneously being in grad school, and I was still working in the weight room with Coach Lee as well. So I did a grad assistant up under Coach Lee. And after I finished grad school, I think I coached high school ball for probably about 2 or 3 more years. Went from coaching high school football. I started as a volunteer coach, then a part-time coach, and finally got full-time. So I went from Columbia High School to East Lawrence High School to Grissom High School. That was my first full-time job. And then after that, I got my first full-time high school strength and conditioning job down at Northview High School in Dothan, Alabama. And after that, kind of hopped on that coaching carousel. While I was at Northview, we had a lot of recruits come in down there because we had some pretty good athletes, and that kind of lit a fire back in me to get to the collegiate level as a strength coach. And so, as the years progressed, I've coached high school ball in Georgia. I went over there for a couple of years, had the chance to experience coaching in a state championship game and, being a high school strength and conditioning coach over there. And I came back to Alabama. I was coaching high school ball, and I got the opportunity to go to Troy University as an assistant strength coach. And that right there kind of got the ball rolling, where it definitely sped the ball up. After Troy, I went to Western Kentucky. Then I went back to high school for, I think it was 2 years. I went to Georgia, and then I went to Texas. And everywhere I've been, I've tried to build a new weight room and, expand the athletic department more than what it was when I got there. So went to Texas, and that was my opportunity to get, they threw $16 million at us, and we built a huge facility, weight room, and all of that stuff. So, yes, big. There's some high schools in Alabama as well as Georgia. And, that's a conversation for later on down the road, because I'm going to go on a rant tonight. But after I left Texas, I got a chance to go to Purdue University. Went to Purdue, and then after that, I got offered the head strength gig at Alabama State. And so went down to Bama State.
Boo! We still don't forgive you for that. You know better, classmate. Let's be clear. As soon as he got it, I texted him. I said, "Sir, all the gigs, and you had to go to." Okay, I'm gonna let him talk. Let me let you live. Again, I'm airing out my grievances from my classmate. He knew better.
I take the good as well as the bad. Even when I got to state and they found out that I went to A&M and all of that, they was like, "Oh, coach, man, you whatever." So, but once they saw what I was about, they hopped on board and bought into what we were trying to do. After Bama State, I had a short stint at Georgia Southern, and that propelled me to Ole Miss. And as I alluded to earlier, now I'm in the transition. I guess I'll post that on Facebook once it's official. But I'm transitioning to a new gig now. So, fingers crossed, hopefully I'll stay down south. But if I got to go back up north, that's fine too.
Gotcha, man.
So overall,
now go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Overall, I think this is like year 14 for me in athletics. So it's definitely been an adventure for sure.
Gotcha. Like I told both of y'all this, man. I'm super proud of y'all. Like we were up in Buchanan Hall volunteering Operation Jumpstart stuff together. So to see y'all go through those different universities, those big schools, is definitely a proud moment. First question I got for you guys, though, being that you both have worked at FBS programs in athletics, what has stood out to you two the most? We'll start with you first, Alicia.
I would say one of the things that has stood out to me the most is just the culture and the learning experiences. So, like you said, I got bit by the bug at Alabama A&M. Coach Betty Austin was my athletic director our last year, senior year there. So she retired from coaching and went to as an AD. I had never seen a female in charge leadership. And I said, wow, she's an athletic director and she's in charge of everything. And so one of the things as I was kind of moving throughout my career is just how she set the tone and culture. We were, y'all know, we were all a family at A&M, and I've just been trying to invoke that in other cultures. It is very different at the Power 5 level as a family, as there's a lot more staff and a lot more people. But I would say just the culture and just the experiences of learning from a fundraising standpoint, from how to build it from the ground up standpoint. Like Chris said, there's some schools out there at a Division I that need have to build it from the ground up, whether it's the weight room, whether it's fundraising. I had to build a whole ticket office. I came through the ticket route. I built the ticket office at Abilene Christian during my time there. Then we went to an NCAA tournament and we were taking donors and learning how to do that on the fly. So my experiences there were much different. The other thing I would say is just campus life. Again, we were such a tight-knit family at A&M, and just seeing the different campuses, seeing the different buildings, seeing how they do things during let me tell y'all, homecoming is different out here in the FCS. Okay. Let me just tell y'all. All right. It ain't for everybody. Okay. I get a little underwhelmed sometimes when I go to these homecomings. I'll be like, this is it. Oh, okay. So you just learn, one, to appreciate those roots and what we had during that family time on the hill, but two, just building things from the ground up. Like Chris said, we got the keys and they had wanted just really some more people to come in that look like our student athletes, that look like what they were trying to bring in. And I mean, they gave us the keys and gave me really a lot of free reign to make some impact. So that's one of the things that really stood out to me, was getting to some of these kids that had just never seen a Black female in administration, never had seen a Black female in charge of leadership, talking with donors, working amongst them. They were kind of amazed about that.
Nice.
Can you repeat the question again, T? Sure. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to go on.
Hey, no problem. Just say that being that both of you have worked at FBS programs in athletics, what has stood out to you the most?
How much time we got? I mean, a lot just in general. I think overall, to me, the resources, and not just from a financial standpoint. Prime example at Ole Miss. So the weight room was connected to the indoor, and you walk. If you go outside, you walk in the indoor, you buckle right, and you walk 40 yards. The cafeteria is right there. So my first month there, I gained probably 10 pounds because I had access to food just, within walking 40 yards, so they opened at 6 a.m., and they had, the mamas in there cooking. So I always get connected with the cafeteria people and the custodians because they run everything. So, and I mean, they're in there cooking breakfast, they cook lunch, and they're going to feed them dinner, and then they probably feed them a snack. So simple things like that. Those types of resources, the emphasis they put on culture, is two different cultures because it's two different worlds.
Right.
They're culture driven based off winning, and based off, let's say for football or basketball, the head coach's mantra, what they're pushing, what's their vision, what's their idea. And if you're winning, it's easier to build that, but of course, like, HBCUs, we're built more so on our Black culture, our heritage, and all that stuff. And like Alicia was saying, homecoming, we going back, we're looking forward to seeing everybody. We're going to kick it. We're going to groove. We're going to tailgate. After halftime, we headed back out to the tailgate and we kicking it. At these other schools, you're in that stadium until the end of the game, and I mean, especially if it's a tight game, you're in there the whole time, and they got 60, 70, 80,000 in there. So those people pay good money for those tickets, so they're going to stay the whole time. But I think, like I said, the resources, like I said, not even from a financial standpoint, but the access that the athletes have to, assistance with academics, assistance with nutrition, assistance with strength and conditioning, everything they pretty much need outside of their sport, they have access to, but it's unfortunate a lot of them don't necessarily maximize it or know how to use it. But those simple resources like that make a huge difference in a program.
And this is kind of gonna go to what both of you said, but we can expound a little bit. You both worked at schools with larger budgets than Alabama A&M, obviously. Taking money out of the equation, what small things that just take a little effort from our administration can be done to take us to the next level?
I would say, just looking back on my experience and looking back I would say one of them is just in general alumni support and fundraising, like just not so much of the resources, but like you said, everyone comes for homecoming. But what's wild to me is everyone comes for every 6 home games at LSU, every last one of them, so it's not just homecoming. It's not just classic. Every single football game is packed at LSU. Every single football game at Tennessee was packed. And it wasn't just alums, it was fans, it was supporters. The biggest thing I can tell you in the difference here, even at Kennesaw State, Kennesaw is out here in Cobb County, and it's a suburb of Atlanta. So we're about 35 minutes from the city. I'm telling you right now, like the Braves have taken over, the Atlanta Braves have taken over Cobb County, but Kennesaw State is right with them. If A&M will just get in the community, that would do wonders. You got to partner with the community and get Huntsville, get Madison, get everything around you. I was just telling someone else that I had went to Alabama, and they asked me, did I know about the TV show like Love and Marriage? Like that's given us so much exposure, one thing, but I'm just like, the community has got to latch on. As much as they latching on to the TV show, they need to latch on to that athletic department there. And there's UAH and there's Oakwood. There's all these schools there, but A&M should be the prominent one that has been there through all of this in the community support. That's what I said. Alums coming back for homecoming is great, but are we coming to the 6 home football games? Are we coming to at least half of the basketball games? Are we even at all going to bring our sons and our daughters and our kids? I know some of y'all that's in Huntsville currently have kids that have not even gone to an A&M game, so, and just maybe gone to a tailgate. I will tell you, it all starts in the community base, T, because these kids here, especially at LSU, they start when they babies going to games, and they just remember at 3, 4, 6 years old championships. Bama, they start when they're young, and they have no affiliation, but because they live in Tuscaloosa or right down the road here in Athens, Georgia, because they live in Atlanta, they go into Athens every weekend. It has to start with the community and saying every Saturday, this is what we're doing. And I mean, that's just a small snippet of what the administration can do, is latch on to the community that's in, and it's not just Huntsville. It has to be within 10, 15-mile radius. So that's Madison, that's Harvest, that's everything in that surrounding that has got to latch on to Alabama A&M as an athletic department and as a university that says we are going to be the institution for the city of Huntsville or Madison County, and that's who we're going to be, and latch on. That's just my feedback. Chris, what do you think?
I agree 100%. I think I saw something a while back that Huntsville is now the largest city in Alabama. And I noticed one thing when I was coaching high school ball at Grissom. A lot of people who live on that side of town, they don't attend A&M events, which is, mind blowing because, A&M is a Division I university. If you want to attend some type of a sporting event, you could at minimum go to A&M, watch a good basketball game, watch a good football game, baseball, softball, etc. But they would rather drive those 4 or 5 hours to go to Auburn, Alabama, or up in Tennessee somewhere and go to another game because, I mean, honestly and truthfully, the product on the field was better. But a lot of those people didn't necessarily know that A&M had stuff going on, because I think it starts from up top, administration. And my coach used to tell me this in high school: if you ain't got structure, you got chaos. I was talking to my boy the other day. He told me, A&M had a classic this year, and he didn't know who A&M was playing until the week of, and I mean, it's simple things like that to where people within the city don't necessarily know enough about what's going on. And with Huntsville being the largest city in the state of Alabama, and like Alicia was saying, within a 10 to 15-mile radius, there are enough people to, at minimum, halfway full the stadium every home game. But it's up to administration to, use the city to its advantage. I mean, you got the Arsenal, you've got, the TV show, you've got all these additional resources, but a lot of these industries aren't necessarily connected to A&M, and I think that's something that we need to do better. That way we can become a program versus having teams. I think right now we have teams, but we don't necessarily have a program, and it's a huge difference. Going back to what Alicia was saying with the little kids, we had a camp at Ole Miss this summer. We had a few camps. I mean, kids came from Rhode Island, Wisconsin, and I'm talking about like 12 and 13-year-old kids. And don't get me wrong, Ole Miss is on a larger scale, but that's just how big the gap is. I mean, I'm pretty sure A&M has trouble getting kids in the city that are 12 and 13 years old. Not necessarily because, those kids don't want to go there, but a lot of those kids probably don't necessarily know, about the events that are going on campus. So I think that that's something that we need to do on a more consistent basis. And, I think it'll eventually snowball. But if we can get the city, get the community on board to where if nobody else comes to the game, the people in Huntsville coming to the game, I think that will make a huge difference.
Right. So, Chris, gonna switch it up a little bit. This question is specifically for you. Being a strength and conditioning expert, you can only get the athletes to do what you instruct them to do when you're watching them. What can our athletes do when no one is watching them? Because where you work, you had the staff where you got a lot of people that did what you do. But at the end of the day, it's the athlete. Do they want it? So what can our athletes do not having that structure like you have been involved in, do to better themselves?
But believe it or not, T, whether it's Power 5, mid-major, SWAC, or even high school, when it comes to the weight room, all of them face the same problems. You're going to have those, 5 or 6 athletes that don't necessarily like the weight room, but it's up to us as a strength and conditioning staff to educate those kids. But it also starts from up top with the head coaches. If the head coach doesn't value strength and conditioning and nutrition, we could preach it all day, but if it's not coming full circle, it's not going to work. So it's up to us as a strength staff to educate those kids. And, I tell them, I try to prep them for life. If you get a job, you need to do your job consistently. If not, you're not going to get paid. You're not going to eat, and then you're going to get fired, et cetera, et cetera. So I tell them, all right, this is your job. Be an athlete. Part of being an athlete, you got to train. You got to watch film. You got to eat. You got to hydrate. You got to have a good social life. I mean, that's always part of being an athlete. You got to stay eligible. If you can't do all those things, then it's not going to work. And it's up to the head coach to also kind of preach that, because if those kids don't see that, you gotta apply good pressure on them. If there's no good pressure applied, if it ain't no fire on them, they're gonna just do whatever, So, and they're gonna get to the sophomore year and the junior year and the senior year, and then boom, they might graduate, they might not. But if you're applying consistent good pressure on them, they're gonna naturally do those things once you've kind of shown them the way, guided them, and kind of gave them the blueprint about how to do it. And if they aren't doing those things, you got to cut ties with them.
Gotcha. Alicia, this question is for you. Being a former volleyball player, what can our ladies do to get back on top of the SWAC?
Win, child. What is going on? Listen, do I need to come in for the high outside? What happened? I just need to understand. No, I give love to the volleyball team. I still come back. I think I went back last year for a game every year. Slapify volleyball is our alumni. We still hold strong to them. I think the biggest thing to get back to that championship mentality, and Coach Chris had even said it, I will tell you the biggest difference is it starts in January. So right now, everyone's going home for Thanksgiving break, all these fall sports. What we are missing as a program, like you said, there's difference between teams and programs. Our student athletes, they need to understand that off season, you are still training. You have to start. When we were in school, there was no off time. There was no January, February. We gonna, take time off, or we gonna focus on this. We were in the weight room getting it. Coach Lee, Coach Hester, love Coach Hester. He had us in there getting after it in January, February, right, with basketball and everything. And so right now, I know it's hard because from a facility standpoint, we're making some renovations, but the main difference, if we don't have a practice facility or somewhere that they can get better in the off season, that is where the gaps always happens for volleyball, for basketball, anybody to get back. They have to do it year round. This isn't just, hey, I'm now going to take time off or I'm going to go do other things. I remember Coach Austin, she said the championship season starts in January. When we got back from break, she played no games. She made sure to understand we just finished one, but now we need to train even harder and get back. This generation of student athletes, I will tell you, some of them are missing just that little discipline, just that, as they said, that dog in them. Okay, you got to go after it in the off season when there's no games coming up and nothing's going on. We have to be there all the time. And so going home for the summer, there was no going home for the summer. We all would be there all day. Look, we'd be there with the band. Okay, the band would be right out there with us, in the dining hall, eating, and we'll be looking right at them going through the week. So it's just that simple. T is making sure that they know training is all year round. There's student athletes and other programs out here doing that all year round, and you got to make that commitment. You got to want it. Listen, trying to get, and I will tell you, I heard y'all earlier saying, this year we got a first year with basketball. I will tell y'all, it is hard to win a conference tournament. Let me make that clear to all Bulldogs fans out there. Conference tournaments are super hard to win. You are playing back to back. You're playing 4 games in a row. If you are not conditioned, and Chris can probably attest to this, if you aren't conditioned, if you are not ready at the tip-top level to play 4 games, sometimes depending on your seeding, you might play 3 or 4. You are not going to make it to championship night. There were times when we were playing Grambling, we had to play Jackson State, play Grambling again. I mean, you're playing 3 and 4 top-tier games. So as much as y'all are like, man, we can't even semis, it is very hard to win a conference tournament at the Division I level and to be at that top-tier shape. And that starts in January. It starts in the summer of conditioning your body to go 40 minutes, to go 2 hours, 2.5 hours of training to get to championship night and giving it everything you got.
This is awesome.
Cool.
That's really, really good. They should put what you just said on record because our athletes need that. Go ahead, T. Gooden. Sorry.
Last question, and I got one thing after that. So honest answer here from both of you guys, honest feedback. Should Coach Prime have stayed at Jackson State for the culture, or did he leave and do the best thing for himself? Honest answer, no. We just want to hear what you got to say. No rebuttal, no debate. Start with you, Chris. We got like 5 minutes left, so.
Oh my dang! I guess I ain't swag either because I left the swag too hard.
Exactly. Let's be clear, ladies and gentlemen.
Alicia ain't swag.
Chris, I text. That's why I said I'm getting ready to air my grievances. I just want y'all to understand that was not co-signed by nobody from the class of 2008 for him to go down there to Alabama State. Now send your grievances right on to him and make sure that you understand where your blood is. Okay, I'm done.
I'm just saying in regards to Coach Prime, for anybody who, and Alicia knows this, for anybody who's worked in athletics, whether it's high school, college, or professional, usually coaches come and go every 2 to 3 years. It happens. Like if nobody's calling to come get you, you're probably not having success. If anything, you're going to get fired. If he wouldn't have won, people would have been coming for his neck. Oh man, he need to be fired. He's never coached, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I understand, we got attached. I mean, I followed Jackson State. I loved what Dion did. I'm glad that he came in and applied that good pressure on a lot of these coaches who are extremely comfortable within this conference and who haven't had success consistently. He's done way more for Jackson State than they've had done in years. I don't think Jackson State been as good since we were in college. So if anything, they ought to be giving him a hug, a pat on the back, thank you, and you go on and you move forward. He's also opened the door for somebody else to be a head coach and other people who might have been assistants other places to come and be an assistant at Jackson State or at Colorado. When I went to Georgia Southern, the head coach that came there, they had created like this Excel sheet and show how many people, not just from USC to Georgia Southern, but how many people that one hire affected. It was over 100 people. Simple. And I wasn't even connected to him. I went from Alabama State to Georgia Southern, and somebody had to replace me at Alabama State, and somebody had to replace him. So that's the name of the game. I'm happy for Coach Prime. Do I want him to stay for the culture? No, because the culture should be able to continue, whether it's Coach Prime or anybody else. I hope one of these other coaches, keeps the ball rolling. That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, will it happen? I'm not sure, but that's what needs to happen. We shouldn't be dependent upon Coach Prime, even though what he did, what he was doing, it was great. But we got somebody else got to keep that ball rolling. So Prime, he was the first Black coach to be hired at a major university in this coaching cycle. That's big right there. Nobody said anything about that, but I'm not going to take up the whole 5 minutes. My bad.
It's all good. What you got, Alicia?
I'm just gonna tell you, he's gonna be at Florida State in the next 3 to 5 years. Y'all need to understand where that man came from, what his purpose is. Let that man live. That man went to Florida State, and that's what he's trying to get back to. I knew he wasn't gonna stay. I knew he wasn't gonna be there. Stay for the culture. He ain't the culture. That's why. Look, I said this at the beginning of the podcast. HBCU life, family life, is different than a business at the Pac-12 at Power 5 levels, and that's what it is. That's the difference. Now, he did, like Chris said, he did amazing things for us. He did amazing things for Jackson State. But again, he knew when that Florida State job came open a couple years ago, y'all got to pay attention. His name was floated there. He did not have the credentials. He does most of the time. Most of us never have the credentials to go for these Power 5 jobs. So we got to work our way around to get there. That's exactly what he's doing. Mark my word, in about 3 to 5 years, he's trying to go after Florida State. He ain't going to stay at Colorado long, and them people are going to make sure they try to keep him no matter how much money. He going back to his alma mater. Just like I told Chris this. I said, let me get in the AD chair. I'm bringing you with me. And that was the whole point of us doing all this. I just want everybody to be clear. Me and Chris are not out here at Power 5s and all these institutions just for now. We are our whole goal. And that's what the text read. I said, when you going back, Chris, because I'm going with you. As soon as the trustees give us the opportunity, again, we're still young and figuring it out. But most of us that's out here, there's people that are coaches at Miles, there's people at Stony Brook. Our whole intent is to go back and make A&M better. So please believe the whole roots. We know where we were born and bred, even though Chris had a little lapse judgment going to state. We going back to A&M. Trust us.
Home is home.
Home is home. We going back to the hill. We going. Let us come.
Last thing, then we got to move on for Wayne Get Me. So we always do a funny freestyle segment. Alicia, Chris, what funny things you got to tell about each other that what happened? We all were amongst each other. So go ahead and speak your piece, Alicia. I know you said a lot in a little private chat.
Yes. Let me, like I said, let me air my grievances. Aninye would stay up in the weight room. But boy, when that boy crossed that cute dog, boy, I'm trying to tell you, ain't nobody see him hurt. Like he literally dropped off the yard for some. I said, Chris, where you been? Like ain't nobody. He would talk to every single body. And then all of a sudden he just went ghost and he popped back up. And I was like, oh, we get it now. We see it now. Okay, that makes sense. And T, let me tell y'all, me and T go back to Jumpstart. Like you said, freshman year, we was on the yard in Buchanan Hall trying to make so many things better. So trying to make so many things. I will never forget walking up this hill with T Gooden for Operation Jumpstart with these kids and these freshmen. I was like, man, I ain't doing this no more. These kids, I'm about to get real close. He's like, we were there one time, Leash. And I was like, listen, those were the days. Again, I remember my classmates. I remember them. And I tell these kids at Kennesaw State, y'all have to be close with them and just make sure that y'all just stick together. Again, I'll be on Chris. I'm like, don't you ever make that decision again without checking with one of us going against our grain. All right, I've said my piece. I feel better. I forgive you now, Chris, but still.
Hey, I appreciate it. Honestly, in regards to Bama State, all right, and I'm just being transparent. I tried to get the head strength gig at A&M. I did. I didn't get any more feedback. So I'm just throwing that out there. But anyways, all right. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Alicia is a spades guru. All right. Freshman year. Going back to 04. All right. My roommate, my boy Tyson. All right. And Tyson used to have this infatuation with Alicia back in the day. But anyway, So, but I remember Tyson coming back because, West was like the hangout spot and stuff. People be down in the lobby playing spades or whatever. Tyson would come back to the room bragging about Alicia, and so I got a chance to see it firsthand. Like Alicia would be down there killing folks in spades. So, don't let that AD title fool you. She a spades guru. So
I will cut you out of a book in a minute. I play to win. I play to win. I will cut you out this book. Let's be clear. All right. We don't win this book.
Yeah, so don't let the smile and hi, I'm Alicia. Nah, she cut though when it comes to those spades.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. I've been thoroughly entertained by the both of you, and you saw this comment here where it said, "Yes, come home." We don't know what the future holds, but I've thoroughly enjoyed just hearing about your stories and your journeys, and I definitely will be following you guys personally, as you guys will be following us, and you continue to follow the Bulldogs. So from me, I'm thankful for you guys being here.
Absolutely. Thank y'all. Like I said, so much for having us. It's always good to come home. That's why I had to open up with our song, but it's just always good to be around the Bulldog family. So we gonna be around. That's the whole point, is to make sure home is home.
Right. Absolutely. We definitely appreciate y'all having us, and we're gonna get this thing back rolling where it needs to be in any way we can.
Yes, indeed. Gotcha. Yes, indeed. So thank you, Christopher Aninye and Alicia English, and God bless y'all, and we will see you up the road.
Thank you.
All right. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
It really was.
Awesome segment, y'all.
Very insightful.
Good people.
Awesome segment. Well, y'all, it's the time to move on and talk about the transfer portal. So, ladies and gentlemen that are still watching, we just want to make sure that you hit those like buttons and continue to follow and subscribe and share and all that good stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through some prepared slides here for the transfer portal. We're just going to talk about this 101. And then our panel, we're going to talk about it here briefly as we head towards the back half of our program tonight. All right, so first off, a lot of people know this gentleman. This is Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, reason why I'm showing him is because he was one of the most prominent, he was one of the first ones to do the transfer. So as you can see here, he played for NC State, and this was his coach, Tom O'Brien. Tom O'Brien told him, he said, "I don't see you having an NFL future." How'd that turn out there, Tom? So Russell, he graduated, and he was looking for somewhere to transfer. And he ended up at Wisconsin, won the Big Ten championship, and took him to the Rose Bowl, and the rest is history. Then, of course, you know about this gentleman right here, Mr. Joe Burrow, who spent some time here in Columbus at Ohio State and went and had one of the greatest teams of all time. But then for every success story, you get this guy, JT Daniels. You might know him. You can see the big picture is when he was a freshman at USC. He played his freshman year. First game of the season, sophomore year, he tore his ACL and his MCL and was out for the season. Decided, he said, you know what? I got passed up in the rotation, so I'm going to transfer to Georgia. Well, he played at Georgia, went and they won a Peach Bowl. And then he battled with injuries. And then, the old Stetson Bennett came along and took his spot. And he said, you know what? I'm going to take my talents to West Virginia. He played in West Virginia this year. He started, had a couple games. Then he got hurt again. Now he got passed up in the rotation. Guess what? Mr. JT Daniels is in the portal for the 4th time.
Wow.
All right. So one-time transfer exceptions. All right. So I'm just going to just kind of, skim through a little bit of this. Basically, what this is saying that the NCAA, they put this in a couple years ago where they gave you a one-time exemption. to transfer. No, don't have to sit out a year or anything like that. These are the requirements. Basically, what it says is you just have to make sure that you played or you're transferring from a 4-year institution. Make sure that you're academically eligible and make sure that you don't have any foolishness going on in your profile. All right. Then the next one here, we've got postgraduate transfer, which this is what Russell Wilson had used. Once you graduate, you get a bachelor's degree, you're eligible to transfer to any other school that you want to. Whatever eligibility you had remaining, if you graduated and you had 2 years of eligibility remaining, when you go on to the next school, you got 2 years of eligibility. Jalen Hurts did it when he went from Alabama to Oklahoma. So you see this a lot. All right. The next one. Now, what about multiple transfers? All right. So I just talked about JT Daniels. So you have that one-time exception. So what happens if you use your one-time exception and you're not a graduate? Well, what happens is you have to file a piece of paper called a waiver. And a lot of times when you file a waiver, you get you a lawyer and he helps you to get your waiver passed with the school that you're looking to transfer to. Sometimes if you don't have that much juice or you're not that well connected, you can't get that waiver and you have to sit out. But in this day and age, somehow, some way, schools are able to get these people eligible whenever they transfer. So that's why you see guys that are on their second, third, and fourth school. All right. So
Good question, Wayne.
Go ahead.
So do you think Mr. Shiloh Sanders, he's transferred from South Carolina to Jackson State, he's going to probably follow his spouse to Colorado? That will be a waiver. He would have to get a waiver to do that, correct?
Absolutely. Right? Okay. Absolutely. He will have to get a waiver. And knowing how well his father is connected, you want to bet the house that he'll get it?
Hey, it's a medical waiver out there somewhere.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So if you're a multiple transfer, basically just like you were as a one-time transfer, you just have to make sure that you are academically eligible. Now, is everybody exactly academically eligible for real when they transfer? Probably not, but you know what? That's why we got a system. All right. The next one. This never happens. Recruiting and impermissible communication. We call this tampering. All right. So if you're going to enter the transfer portal, you should not be contacted by another coach while you're still on the roster of the school you're playing for. It happens. And also we got something now we call NIL, name, image, and likeness, where we got people that are offering you better opportunities in name, image, and likeness to come to my school. Go ahead, T. Gooden. I see you. I see you chomping at the bit.
I have a question. So are you saying that when Mr. Sanders took the job at Colorado, when those other players transferred, was that tampering or was it okay? Because now he's actually a coach at two places. How does that work?
Yeah. By the letter of the law, by what we're looking at right here, that would be tampering.
Okay. I didn't really know since he's actually the coach at both places.
Your son Shador is still on Jackson State's roster, and then you go to the press conference, you say, "Here's your quarterback here at Colorado." That would be tampering.
Gotcha.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're being enlightened so far. But we're going through what the NCAA says. Doesn't mean it's always followed, but
it may be an exception since that's his son.
Exactly. This isn't us saying this. This is the NCAA's words. All right. Now, the next one here is just showing you what the window is. Okay. So the transfer portal window, it opened up on December the 5th. All right. And it's going to be open for 45 days. So what this means is you're going to see, you've seen some guys that are either not in the rotation or fell out of the rotation, or they just upset or whatever, or their coach left or whatever. They already said, "Hey, I'm transferring." They already hit the portal. There's over 1,000 guys in the portal right now. Okay. There are some that are going to hit the portal after their bowl games. All right. Because some of them are trying to figure out what their destinations are. Okay. And then the middle one talks about just the graduate transfers. They can transfer anytime. They can do whatever they want to as long as they have that college degree. And then this last one, really important. So coaches who get fired, if you get fired during the season, those players who want to enter the portal, you have a 30-day window to do it immediately. And it gives you the chance to talk to other coaches to determine if you got a chance to go there or not. All right. Now let's get into what people love, y'all. This is the pros and the cons. All right. Here are the pros. I love the pros. Sometimes you just need a fresh start, man. Look, you get there, you don't like it. It happens. We all don't like certain places we've been to. All right. Then you're looking for better options, man. Sometimes you just want to get back closer to family. You're homesick. Sometimes you may have an opportunity to go play for a dream school. Maybe when you got recruited, that school that you really wanted to go to wasn't looking at you, but now you're a hot commodity and maybe you got a chance to play there. Maybe you got a chance to get a championship. So that's another pro. And also, hey, there's nothing wrong with somebody wanting some more playing time. You buried on the roster, you fourth, fifth string, or you may have a chance to be a starter. That's a pro. But now let's get into the cons. All right. So for all these pros, you can get stuck, man. These coaches, they're going to call about your references. They're going to see about his character. You might not even fit their culture. And then I talked about how many people are in the portal. This is a very oversaturated market. There's thousands of players in the portal. You can be one of 1,053 who may just get lost in the shuffle. And then also, here's the biggest con. You can lose a scholarship. You lose your scholarship by transferring, and you may not get a scholarship again if you transfer. All right, those are the pros and the cons. Now, here are the traditional views in this with the portal, except with the perceptions. I've seen some of the people say, man, these kids, they soft as hell. They don't like to compete. Look at them. They just transfer because they don't want to compete. That's not necessarily true. I mean, now it could be true for some, but many of them, they're just looking for a better opportunity. Look at this. And then some people say we should focus on recruiting incoming freshmen only. Well, I just told you, I'm going to tell you in the next slides here, I'm going to tell you about why that's not true either. Then this one, the old one. If I'm not starting, I'm departing. Look, some of them, you see this a lot at quarterback. A lot of times, hey, I battled through camp. I didn't get the starting job. Their feelings are hurt. They're ready to leave. Never know that you can stay around and a guy can get hurt. A lot of these guys who wanted to transfer, they ended up becoming starters because when you're a quarterback, you're one play away from being a starter if you're backup. All right. Every player thinks they're headed to the NFL. Now, I like this one here because there are a lot of y'all out there that need to have some reality checks. Every player out there is not headed to the NFL. Some of them, they got people in their ear. You've been a starter since you were 6 years old. You got tons of talent. You're going to be this, you're going to be that. They're not managing you right. Just go ahead on and go to another place. That's not reality. And then here, they must be getting bad advice for transferring. Not everybody's getting bad advice, y'all. You just got to read between the lines. Now, look at the coaching and the scouting views. Hey, let's keep this real now. Those that criticize us for having transfers. All right. Hey, I could get fired this year if we don't turn this program around quickly. These coaches are under pressure, y'all. We trying to win. We got to do what we got to do. Sometimes you got to hit that portal to take some risks. Hey, look, we can rebuild our roster fast with experienced players that we don't have to spend so much time developing. Hey, especially if you're a coach that's on the hot seat, man. Right. You got 1 year to turn it around, man. Hey, how can you, what better way than to get some experienced guys to turn around quickly? And then last one, you can find a diamond in the rough. There's a lot of diamonds that you can find. Some people that were mismanaged, not handled, whatever. All right. Those are the perceptions. Next one here now. I talked about how does this impact high school recruits? Well, we've got something called the early signing period. This year, it's on December the 21st. What this means for high school recruits, unless if you're not a 5 or a 4-star, whoo, Lord, you rolling the dice with your future. Because guess what? Guess what? If a school signs some incoming transfers to fill some roles for positions that you play, they may not have a scholarship by the time you get ready to sign that paper. All right. So that's another thing. This is how it impacts high school recruits. And then also, if you find out late in the process, well, you know what, man, I'm sorry. That scholarship that we offered you, we don't have it because, we filled some roster spots. Now you're going to have to settle for something else, and you may not even have an offer at all. All right. Reality. Now, here's the impact on coaching, y'all. So if you got some of these big programs, and I did a lot of reading on this, y'all. There are a lot of programs that, Alabama's, Ohio State's, Alabama's, they talk about how they're stretched to the match with evaluations. They're evaluating players in the portal just as much as they're evaluating incoming freshmen. All right. They're doing communications. They're talking to them. All right. Then you got to do the thought process. Hey, when an experienced transfer versus an incoming freshman, that's very hard. Who can help us win? Right. And then you got to recruit your own players to keep them on the roster. There are guys who are thinking about transferring all the time. Sit them down. Right. Tell him that he'd been starting the whole season, and then all of a sudden you sit him down because you don't like the way he's playing. You don't like his effort. Well, depending on his ego, he may say, you know what? Screw this. I'm transferring.
Right? I saw that happen real time this year.
Yeah. You want to care to expound on that real quickly there, Mr. Gooden?
Yeah, of course. We it's no secret. We had a couple players on our team that, didn't get the playing time or other players were being used. And, they took themselves away from the team earlier in the year. Those Bulldogs, I think both of them were here when we won the SWAC championship, right? Definitely appreciate them for that. But, like Wayne said, you gotta recruit your own players. And if you sit somebody down, you gotta weigh, hey, do I want to keep this guy or can this guy kick rocks and move on? So, our coaches decided to do what they decided to do. Guys moved on. We, had a great running back. Best of luck to Mr. Quarles. Best of luck to Mr. Jenkins. Best of luck to Ibrahim. Different situation with him. Totally not the same situation with the other two. So I don't want to get that in there. But best of luck to those guys, man. But I just want to expound on what you were saying.
Yes, sir. And what you said about Mr. Ibrahim, he applies to that last bullet point. You got some guys at this FCS level, man. Hey, they want to transfer up. They want a chance to play at the big time, man. Maybe they can get a chance to get drafted. So, right. Hey, those are things that coaches have to think about. All right. And here's the very last one on this. And this is probably the most important and most staggering thing in this whole transfer portal for football. Look at the left. 61% of players in the FBS who entered the portal, they found a new team, or they said, you know what? The grass really isn't greener on the other side. I'm going to stay right here. 61%. Now go to the other side. 39%. They didn't find a scholarship. They entered the portal, went through the process, didn't get picked up, and lost a scholarship. Sat out there. People were telling them, you're this, you're that, you're better, you're this, ego, everything, sitting on the couch. Some had to transfer down, had to go to FCS, and then others just dropped out of the sport altogether. That's the portal, man.
Yeah, so it seems like you got to get good advice and before you decide to jump in, because it's looking like 4 out of 10, won't find a home.
Right. Yep.
And then, I think one big
I'm sorry,
thing,
Jay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. One big thing is like Corey just said, get that good advice and also be self-aware. And that's just with anything. Knowing where you stand in your current program, knowing your work ethic, knowing what type of program you want to go to, all that factors. If you're running back and you want some playing time, you do not need to go to a running back heavy school where they got 4 guys ahead of you. Just making smart choices, making smart decisions that will not bite you in the butt on the back end.
Yeah, what I was going to say is a couple things. So, we see a lot of the comments, we need to, stop going to the portal and getting these players, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people still won't start at A&M, leave at A&M. And at first, I was kind of like that, but like the game has changed now. But we can't have it both ways. When we had D. Anderson last year, we love the transfer portal. This guy played for Oklahoma State and LSU. He led the SWAC and TDs last year. We love the transfer portal then. Donovan England, he transferred from Michigan State. We love that he was out there on the field. But we don't love it because I think when we had 9 players or something, lead the portal, everybody like, oh, they leaving A&M, they don't like the coach. No. It's a great song out these days, and they played it at Jackson State. One monkey don't stop no show. We got to keep on rolling. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So we got to keep going. It's just the name of the game now. And if you could show this comment, Wayne, Mr. Roger Street said it. It doesn't matter where you play. If you're good, they will find you.
Yes, sir.
I told the guy today, I said Robert Mathis and John Stallworth played in the NFL and were great before social media. Like they didn't have these huddle accounts and getting on Twitter campaigning for people to offer them and things like that over the NFL. They grinded and the people found them. So to all the players out there, if you're good, but you can't be good. I'm sorry, I'm using that word. You can't be good to make it to the NFL. All of us know this. Mm-hmm. You have to be elite level great to make it to the National Football League. If you're that level, they will find you. It doesn't matter if you play Alabama A&M, Miles, or USC or Alabama. It's players that play at Alabama with 5-star athletes coming out of high school, and they never sniff an NFL field. They never do. They're just the God honest truth. So if you're great, they will find you. Doesn't matter where you play.
And T Gooden, coaches are gonna continue to recruit regardless. They're gonna recruit every year, and there's no promises. The only promises that they're gonna give you is an opportunity. But you're gonna have to earn that job wherever you go every year. You might think you're gonna be the only wide receiver or running back going to that school, but if a coach see another player that they think better, they're gonna bring them on too.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna have to earn your job. So so they don't need to run from situations. I just say you just make your best, judgment and take some good advice when you're doing this, because coaches, like I say, gotta eat and they gotta keep their job. So they're gonna continue to recruit. So it don't matter if you got a quarterback, they still gonna continue to bring in another quarterback.
Yep. Yep. And so I want to get into a few of these comments, just like what we said about tampering. I love this. He said tampering all up and down the Rockies. Oh, I like that. Oh, look at this. He was tampering. Yep. And then of course leave it up to my boy. I love it. No tampering here, but he did. He said, "Look at." He said, "I only tamper with talking to other women at other schools."
Oscar is out of pocket like always, man. He's always out of pocket.
So so that's transfer portal 101, y'all. And for those that I know I ran through that kind of quickly, but you can always go back and you can watch it. And I know that a lot of people will continue to talk about the transfer portal, because the transfer portal is here to stay. All right. So now let's transition into our very last segment of the show. And our very last segment of this show is we have the Celebration Bowl, which takes place on Saturday at 12 noon on ABC. So on the call for this one, it will be the great Tiffany Green and Jay Walker. They will be on the call here on ABC. This is taking place at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. As you can see, you got the undefeated Jackson State Tigers taking on the 9-2 MEAC champion North Carolina Central Eagles, coached by Mr. Trey Oliver. All right, so just a few things here in this matchup. All right, this is the 7th edition of this matchup. All right, 7th edition of this matchup. The SWAC has only won 1 out of those previous 6. That was a 10-9 decision by Grambling, beating North Carolina Central in the 2nd edition. And the thing about that game was, if you might remember, that was a game where North Carolina Central scored a touchdown, and the gentleman who scored the touchdown got a little bit excited, took off his helmet, got a 15-yard penalty, and it became a 35-yard extra point that they missed. And that is how Grambling won that game 10-9. That is the only game that the SWAC has won in this series. Every game in this series has been pretty close, with the exception of 2 games. 64-44 when North Carolina A&T beat Alcorn. And then last year, when South Carolina State beat Jackson State 31-10, they completely harassed Shedeur Sanders the entire day with their zone pressures and also with confusing their coverage. And they were a little opportunistic on offense. So we know everything that's happening. Coach Prime, this is his very last game as the coach of Jackson State, and they want to send him off victorious with a perfect record. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time. Those that are watching, go ahead and put your predictions in the comments. We will pull up some of your comments. And now, panel, Miss J the Great, you are first, then T Gooden, and then Mr. Williams, and then Wayne, will give the last of the last. And we will go from there. Miss J the Great.
Well, I really don't know how to call this one. You have, of course, the news of Coach Prime's departure. You have North Carolina Central, who has basically been waiting to see who they were going to play. So they, are well rested. But honestly, man, I think Jackson State is focused enough to, before the news, I would have said Jackson State by at least 4 touchdowns. With this news now, I think I'm still going to go with Jackson State, but Jackson State by 2 touchdowns.
All right.
So just looking here, North Carolina Central, they average 38 points a game, 422 yards per game. Their opponent averages 20 points a game, 224 total yards a game. So I think it's going to be a little high scoring. It's not going to be one of those games where it's a 10-9, so to speak, where they played last time. However, I think Jackson State is going to play, with emotion. They want to send their coach out 13-0. They want to get some redemption from last year. They want to do all those things, but I still don't think it's going to be enough. North Carolina Central, 35-30. And one of the reasons they got nice uniforms is we need to steal that combination because I like it.
So you can see CJ says a blowout, 28-24.
I'm always wrong with this stuff, but I'm gonna keep on pushing.
This is what CJ says to you, T Gooden.
I'm always wrong, but I'm gonna be right one day.
Corey.
Okay. I've been thinking this one out and go both ways. Jackson State got the experience. They went into it last year with the big head, and South Carolina State smacked them in the mouth. So they're gonna be focused this year. And the boys want to send Prime out, with a win, because even though all the stuff out in the media or whatever, that team is still close to him, and they want to fight for him, and they want to go 13-0. So they're gonna come out. And they're going to try to just go on, do whatever they got to do to them at the beginning. However, North Carolina Central been rested. And they got a mobile quarterback who can throw and can run. And knowing Jackson State's weakness on defense is going against a quarterback who can throw and can run. So if North Carolina Central can withstand that first half, because Jackson State going to come out like a big bully and that defense going to come different kind of ways. And if they can if they can withstand that first half and they can go into halftime down by at least 1 touchdown, I'm going to pick the upset. I'm going to pick North Carolina Central just because of their quarterback who can run and can throw, and North Carolina Central will win 24-21.
Well, so
nice
we got
assessment.
So we have two North Carolina Central and 1 Jackson State. All right. So as Corey had mentioned, North Carolina Central is rested. Their last game was on November the 19th. That will come almost 1 month. 1 month is when they're almost 1 month away to when they hit the field here. Now, as I said, the SWAC has lost 5 of the first 6 matchups in this bowl. And a lot of this, I honestly can tell you, it's no secret. It's no secret why, with the SWAC having two less weeks to prepare, right? And then also, I will throw something else in here. Yeah, I know these guys, they want to come out and they want to win, but there's also a lot of distractions that Jackson State has had also. Who's leaving, who's staying, who's doing what, right? So with all of these factors, you've got North Carolina Central, the team that nobody's talking about. They're the afterthought. They're the team that they're just showing up here. The team that's just going to be part of this Jackson State coronation. I'm not buying it. Give me the Eagles. I got the Eagles 31-17. 31-17 Eagles. Sorry.
North Carolina Central's winning the predictions tonight, except in the comments. Everybody in the comments rolling with JSU.
Exactly.
Except Mr. Street. Mr. Street won with North Carolina Central 35-24. So
exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to hit the end of the show, we want to tell everybody that next week we will have none other than our athletic director, Dr. Paul Bryant. So, heading into next week's show, ladies and gentlemen, please take this email address down. We want you to send us this week. Send us your questions for Dr. Bryant. Send us your questions, and what we're going to do is we're going to compile the questions. Now, we're not going to be able to ask them every single question, and don't ask them nothing crazy like when we building the next dome. When we building a retractable roof dome or something, right. let's be realistic in these questions now. So what we want you to do is we want you guys to send us your questions. And also we will have the chat on as we typically do. So next week you'll be able to make your comments and also be able to ask some questions in real time. And also we're working on a couple other things, some other features that we may be able to have in place to assist our viewers next week also. So we're just saying all this because we know we've seen everybody say some stuff all on Facebook. We know you didn't have your comments, you didn't have your criticisms. Now next week is your chance to be able to ask some of these questions. And then also what we're going to do too is we're going to let Dr. Bryant tell us and tell everybody about, his vision. And then also we're going to kick it with him.
We'll kick it.
Many people don't know really much about him. Yeah, you can read his bio, but hey, what other things do you want to know about Dr. Bryant? We're going to ask him because that's what we do.
Facts.
So you make sure that you tune in next week at 8:00 Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, because we're going to be here and we're going to have a great time. It's going to be the very last show of 2022. But I also will let you all know that in 2023, we got some really wonderful shows lined up for y'all, man.
Definitely do.
Really wonderful shows lined up for y'all. We gonna have the band. We got something for the band. We got something for basketball, both teams. We got a SWAC episode where we gonna have some personalities in the SWAC that's gonna join us. We got some journalists that cover HBCU sports that are gonna join us. We gonna hear from our bowling team, y'all.
We are. We definitely gonna hear from the women's bowling team.
We're gonna hear from the women's bowling team, and we got a very special football episode. You're gonna hear from some current players. You're gonna hear from some past players. So we got some wonderful stuff for y'all that's coming down the pike. But first thing first, y'all, you got to join us next week. And you got to send these emails. Because you have not, because you ask not.
Right.
So don't come to us after the show and you didn't send us an email talking about some, I ain't get a chance to ask a question when we gave you a chance to do so right here. All right, panel, final thoughts on this before we put a bow on this episode.
Man, I just want to say again, I enjoyed my friends Chris and Alicia. Those two are rising in the ranks in athletics. Chris with strength and conditioning, Alicia with athletic director and administration stuff. Like I said, I've been knowing them for a long time, man. It's just good to see them propel. And they're, as you see, their ultimate goal is to come back home. So if that opportunity presents itself, administration, we need to take advantage of it. So I just want to say that, man, I really appreciate them for coming on.
Yes, indeed. Jay, final thoughts?
And I enjoyed the show. I know we co-host, but I enjoyed. I learned a lot from Alicia and Christopher, and just glad to see that our school motto is true. You literally can start at A&M and go anywhere.
Absolutely. Corey, final thoughts?
Hey, most definitely. T. Gooden and J.D. Great took it right out of my hand. Hey, start here, go anywhere. Chris and Alicia really, I'm a fan. If I wasn't a fan before, I'm definitely a fan now. And it's good to know, with alumnus like us and also alumnus, them still a Bulldog. Always a Bulldog, still a Bulldog, and still willing to support no matter what institution that they are at. And that's a true Bulldog right there. And right. So, hey, I'm looking forward to the future. I think it's a bright future for Bulldog Nation. But I'm a fan of Chris and Alicia.
Yes, indeed. And so that brings us to the end of our episode. And I just want to say, before we get to the end here, just continue to subscribe to this podcast, right? Tell your friends, tell fellow alums, follow us on Facebook, like and share, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. So, for Wild Wayne Cartwright, Mr. T. Gooden, Miss J. the Great, Mr. C.K. Williams, it's fun. It's you. It's us. It's From the Hill Podcast. Good night, everybody.